I should start? Well, it was the 80s, so I was home watching TV all the time, and Ghostbusters 1 and 2 were always on TV. I watched them on TV all the time. I don't remember my life before Ghostbusters.
For me, I got to see it in the movie theater when it came out, and
Old, he's very old.
I'm incredibly old. I'm 87 years
Yeah,
old.
it looks
And
great.
and it was mind-blowing. You know, it was such a huge, massive hit at the time, and you know, I think for kids, and it was the first time we ever saw something that was funny and scary. So it had this, it seemed like it was creating a new genre, and I think that added to the excitement.
That summer of 1984, I was 7 years old. We went to go see it in Hollywood, in a big movie theater, full of excited audience. And I remember being frightened. I remember laughing and not understanding all the jokes. And I remember falling in love with the characters and the world that the story took place in. And I remember feeling like there were people who made this film, told this story, and that was one of the first times I remember thinking that I love movies more than anything else, and that I want to spend as much of my life in them as possible.
I always love the way that Gil and Jason are reinventing the technology. I think that's one of the most fun things for fans. So the beginning of the movie for me is getting to pilot the drone trap, which I know people get really excited about that stuff. It's always thrilling to see how we can expand the proton pack universe. The fans are really, really, focused on how that technology changes and how it functions. And so it's really fun to get to deliver some of those things to the fans.
Yeah, that's true. It is fun to see kind of like all the new developments and how they've changed things on the proton packs, but there's just something for us that we get to wear those flight suits, that we get to put those things on our backs, and then we stand next to the original Ghostbusters. There are many times throughout the filming of it where I think that we were standing around looking at each other thinking, I can't believe we're standing here doing this.
Well, I think that I was able to draw on, again, my memories of watching those films as a young audience member, as a fan, and thinking about what it was that the movies did for me, how they made me feel, when I was scared, when I felt like everything was going to be okay, when it was okay to laugh and to lean forward into the screen. Those are really helpful memories for a filmmaker to be able to draw on, because it creates a sort of framework that you can tell the news story on. But so much of the scale, the stakes, the emotional stakes of this story are defined by character decisions that were made back in Afterlife. As we resolved that story in Oklahoma, Phoebe Spangler learns her legacy. She finds out who she is and what she's capable of, that she's part of a long line from her grandfather of Ghostbusters. That creates a sort of a shape to how this next chapter of the saga continues, how we can build it so that it still has something at the center of it that we care about, that we feel connected to.
I think what Paul said is true. When Ghostbusters first came out, we didn't see genre blending the way that movie was blending horror and comedy, but also irreverence. It's a little bit raunchy, and nobody was doing that. Annie Potts, I remember she told me when she first read the script, she'd never read anything like it before, and we take it for granted just how innovative that was, that particular blend. And I think Jason and Gil have done a really good job trying to capture the original spirit of that movie while still moving it forward.
Capture the original spirit.
Oh, see what I did there?
I also think that it's about, at its core, kind of outsiders, people who don't fit in necessarily, and working together and supporting one another and family. And I think that even having Ivan Reitman as the director of the original film and then having Jason Reitman direct Afterlife and then write and produce this Frozen Empire, there's something about the family aspect that is kind of in the DNA of this movie, I think.